Today, we're reacting to Tory Lanez attack by prisoner who offed his underage DF with a shotty. Man, bro, I watched this first little update of the Tory Lanez situation on my Astral Dior channel if y'all want to go see that one. But I see 1090 Jake did this. He looked like he got some different and more information, so I want to go ahead and tap into this one. Watch the other video that dropped with this one today. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Great for y'all. Let's get to it.
What's up, everybody? It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on Tory Lanez getting stabbed inside a prison and the man who
crazy.
May 12th, 2025, located north of Los Angeles lies the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, California. In 2021, the prison closed its minimum custody facility, meaning its 2,600 inmates were level 3 or level 4. These are the most dangerous levels in California State Prison.
Look at this nigga's tat.
Where race, gangs, and strict politics are enforced with deadly consequence. The only step above this would be the maximum security inmates housed within the security housing unit.
Shoo! Hell no! This be the shit right here, make a nigga never want to motherfucking jaywalk. Ooh, you get a sliver of light. They got your ass living like a motherfucking caveman in this bitch.
Otherwise known as the shoe. A disciplinary confinement reserved for the prison's most violent, whose only escape from a cell is a human dog cage. It was 7:20 in the morning when 32-year-old Daystar Peterson, who's more commonly known as the rapper Tory Lanez, was violently attacked. TMZ would originally report multiple sources, including a corrections officer, claimed Tory was on the prison yard, but an updated report from a representative of the California Department of Corrections would clarify Tory was attacked within a housing unit. Prison staff rushed into the unit administering first aid while quickly determining Tory suffered life-threatening injuries, forcing them to call 911.
The contrast of your life as a, and this isn't to talk about, I'm on the side of Tory is an innocent man, to be honest, with my humble opinion. That doesn't mean nothing. But from having the contrast of life of having everything you want, especially during a period, like think about how streaming is to this day, how these artists are promoting their shit. He was already doing the streaming shit, right? But I could see him on Mac shit. I could see him on all types of features. I could see him, before he went in, he was on that What's Poppin' remix. Like going crazy. Tory is one of them people that is a actual talent, musical talent, to be in the prison now, the prison system. You feel me? Giving prison debts and, you know what I'm saying? Making pockets and fucking unfortunately getting stabbed and shit. It's crazy contrast. For some silly shit. Now we can't say a nigga just completely, him being in certain positions, a man gotta take accountability for his actions. Somehow, some way, across the way, some way. You know what I'm saying? Like the best way you should be going about your life is you have it's my fault mentality. You always take accountability for everything. That's the best way to live as a man, right? You don't blame nobody but yourself. So if we put that same concept on him somewhere along the lines, whether it was kicking it with the wrong people, kicking it with Meg Thee Stallion through certain signs or whatever it is, it's something that I know he's pondered on. Like, damn, bro, if I would have just did this or not fuck with this or did that, I wouldn't be here, and I know he be having to think about it.
Video would emerge of who's believed to be Tory Lanez landing in a life flight helicopter at Kern Medical Center in Bakersfield, California, an hour-long drive from the prison. With that distance, a helicopter was the only form of transportation able to move him fast enough to save his life.
Wow.
A message to Tory Lanez's Instagram account would state he'd been stabbed 14 times. 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed and he had to be placed on a breathing apparatus. Luckily, Tory was breathing on his own, and despite the pain was talking normally, in good spirits, and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. He also wanted to thank everyone for their continued prayers and support. Based on his wounds, it can be assumed Tory was attacked from behind, as the majority of his wounds struck his back and behind his head. Initially, no word was released as to who did it, leaving room for speculation. Because this took place in California, the only time someone is stabbed and it doesn't result in a race riot is if they are stabbed by their own race. But that isn't the case here. Compton rapper Spider Loke would post a conversation with a current inmate at Tehachapi. The man would claim Tory was on a tier full of Mexicans when a Mexican stabbed Tory. He'd confirm Tory had to be airlifted from the prison and the prison was placed on lockdown. He'd also confirm, as soon as the lockdown is lifted, the blacks will be seeking revenge on the Mexicans.
What's Gucci?
What's cracking?
What it do, Fight?
Shit, nothing much to look, right? This morning, brother, the Mex came out and bust on the boy Tory. You know, they airlifted him and all that, so you know, that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down?
No, it happened in the building.
What was it over? It was over some. What he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah, nothing like that. Shit, we don't even really know. We don't even know the whole situation, you know.
So it was just like some foul play. So it's finna be up.
Yeah, it's for sure with some foul play.
Damn, cuz. Wasn't nobody right there with him when it happened? Wasn't nobody right there with him when it went down?
Yeah, I guess nobody wasn't. He was by himself out there. He got a whole tier full of nuts. He on a whole tier full of nuts.
Wow.
But you already know, once we get off this shit, we press play.
I'm already knowing. God damn.
Tehachapi has a known reputation for being SNY, otherwise known as a special needs yard. These yards are known to house gang dropouts, snitches, sex offenders, and anyone else whose life is threatened by being in general population.
Okay.
But California has also recently implemented 50-50 yards, half general population, half SNY, to integrate the two prison societies. This goes against...
Yikes. I know some of them, like they said, the snitch niggas, the what they call them, chomos. I know they be going through it in that bitch.
Against strict prison gang politics, mainly for the Mexicans and whites who are allegedly forced to attack any rival or SNY inmate to essentially remove themselves from the yard until they are placed back in general population amongst the quote-unquote honorable convicts. While general population is deadly, it's controlled chaos, and SNY yards can be just as dangerous, if not worse, as the gang politics that keep things in line go out the window and violence becomes rampant. It's unclear if Tory was in fact SNY, as that comes with its own bad reputation within prison, but it's likely Tory was placed on a 50-50 yard and his politics didn't require him to remove himself. Now, Tory's attacker would be identified as 42-year-old Santino Casio, a man with a dark violent history. On June 8th, 2022, a then 20-year-old Santino, who went by the name Sonny, was heard arguing with his 13-year-old girlfriend.
Crazy. 13. Crazy. So he a chomoed it. So why the fuck he ain't getting pulled out and shit?
Minutes later, she was shot in the face with a shotgun.
Oh my God.
Santino would go on the run for 2 weeks before being arrested. His own family would testify against him in court.
Yeah,
how
this
they
nigga
heard
out of
the
there.
argument before the blast. A coroner would testify the barrel must have been 4 inches away from the girl's face before it went off. An interview from the day he was arrested would be played at trial, where Santino admitted to having a relationship with the 13-year-old girl for a month before the shooting. The girl was a runaway, while Santino was on parole from the California Youth Authority for burglary. In 2004, Santino would be sentenced to life in prison for murdering 13-year-old Evelyn Candejas
Glad to hear.
and 2 other attempted murders from 2 separate stabbings. While in prison, he'd be sentenced to an additional 6 years for a prison stabbing on another inmate.
Yeah, it don't matter though because he got life. So I guess he just, you know, since a nigga gonna be in this bitch all the time, they got him doing all the shit. And you do some shit like that, you already lifeless. So you evil. So it's like it ain't nothing to tell this nigga to go get activated because he evil and he got life.
And in 2018, he was sentenced to an additional 2 years for possessing a knife in prison.
No matter.
Santino Casio was as dangerous as they come, but his conviction for murdering a 13-year-old girl he'd been dating confirms he was definitely an SNY inmate, as he'd never be allowed to walk in general population without being stabbed or killed. Why he chose to attack Tory Lanez is unknown. Many question if Tory
Wow. Okay. That's different from what we thought when I watched it on my other channel.
because of his own conviction for allegedly shooting his former friend Meg Thee Stallion. The fact that he had a female victim, many would assume would be reason enough for him to be hit. But Santino's case is far worse than Tory's could ever be portrayed, and offers no motive as to why this happened. Tory Lanez is expected to survive, and it can also be expected that Santino be placed in the shoe and receive additional time in prison for this attack. But what is more time to someone who's already serving a lifetime?
Yeah.
A superstar rapper once on top of the world, now surrounded by killers with nothing to lose because of a stupid decision that changed the entire course of his life.
Right.
Tory is lucky to have survived this, and hopefully remains lucky enough to survive the remaining years.
My question is, do he get transferred? He gotta get transferred.
Of his 10-year prison sentence. Now, when Tory was sentenced to prison, everybody assumed one of two things. One is his money and celebrity status is going to keep him safe. And two, because he has a female victim, he could be targeted. I don't know if either one played a role in this, but the fact that Tory was damn near killed, right? Because prisons don't call in a helicopter for nothing. They all have medical units within the prison. Like, if it's superficial, they'll fix you. The fact that he had to be airlifted, his lungs collapsed, Tory almost got killed. This was a serious stabbing. Anytime a helicopter lands, it's serious. The fact that he survived this,
right,
and the fact that he was hit up in the first place shows you how real prison is. Your celebrity status is not going to protect you. If you're accessible, it can happen to you. The fact that Tory was on an SNY yacht, from my understanding, doesn't mean he necessarily went PC for protective custody. From my understanding, the black race in California State Prison doesn't have to remove themselves from SNY yards because their politics don't do that. The whites and the Mexicans will not stay on a 50-50 yard. It's required that they remove themselves. The reason they do that is so they don't run into pieces of shit like Santino Casio, a man that murdered a 13-year-old girl that he was dating, right?
Yeah.
General population, they don't want him there. So if he goes there, they remove him.
Yeah.
If they get placed into a dorm or a unit where they're surrounded by weird fucks like that guy, they gotta pop on somebody to remove themselves.
Wow.
The reality is, if Tory was never at that spot around that guy,
it wouldn't happen.
This would have never happened. And that's the thing about general population. Even though it's so strict, it's controlled chaos. That's why when Spider Loc was questioning his boy inside of the prison, he was asking, was it a gambling debt or something? Did Tory do something? What would cause someone of another race to attack him?
Yeah, to bust
because
him.
under controlled politics, that doesn't happen like that. But in this situation, with SNY inmates, there's no rules and everything is off limits, resulting in Tory Lanez damn near being killed. But let me know y'all's thoughts. Interesting.
That's another take from what we saw on, like I said, when Flocko broke it down to us. If y'all want to see that reaction, go pull up to the Astral Dior channel. It's on there. One of my most recent reactions, man. I love y'all. Appreciate you. I'm great for y'all, man. And we gon' ADD lad do it.